In this lesson, we will review graded assignments 3 and 4. Okay, so let's begin. Graded assignment 3 was on approved, unreliable, and evaluation question types. Please get ready your graded assignment 3 as well as a green pen. You have the hard copy with you, so I fully expect that corrections will be done the next time I check your graded assignment. Otherwise, please take your foolscap paper and write down some key points to note. Okay, this is all for your own revision later on. So if you don't write it down, I mean, who knows, you may not remember that this video exists, right? So please jot everything down so that you have all your notes in your file. Now let's start with the first question. Study source A, does Lenin approve of Stalin? Okay, so for approval, you need to first of all understand what the question wants from you. So this is actually a question that requires you to infer about someone's attitude. So it is still an inference question, but it's one level more difficult than a normal inference question. This time round, you need to take a stand. You need to identify the portrayal or the tone. Use source details to describe the portrayal or tone and show how the portrayal or tone reveals Lenin's opinion. Now, I taught you to identify portrayal because tone is very difficult to explain. To be able to explain tone, your language needs to be good enough such that you can unpack the language used and explain why there is an exclamation mark there, for example. Why did the author choose to use certain words? So in that sense, portrayal is actually easier to explain, which is why I focused on teaching you that. Okay, so I'm going to jump straight to level 3 answers. For level 1 and 2, they are wrong answers anyway, but in case you are curious about what goes on for level 2 is when you pass the question, you get 3 out of 5, but that's when you don't give me a specific negative portrayal. As you can see from level 3 answers, you tell me that Lenin did not approve of Stalin because source A portrays Stalin in a negative light. Okay, so first of all, you tell me positive or negative portrayal. Then you go on to tell me in what way was it negative. Okay, you give me an adjective and a noun. So remember this rule. It is not a hard and fast rule. That means it's not compulsory, but trying to force yourself to think of an adjective and a noun helps to guarantee that you should hit the right answer somehow. So in this answer, source A states that Lenin proposed to the comrades to find a way to remove Stalin from the position and appoint another man who will in all respects differ from Stalin, So he goes on and on about how Stalin's character is basically flawed. Okay, so Lenin condemned Stalin's character and thought that his personal qualities made him unsuitable to take over leadership. So since he has such bad personal qualities, he has so many flaws, how can he take over the leadership of the Soviet Union? Okay, and therefore Lenin did not approve of him. Now, some of the answers that I accepted versus those that I did not accept, I want to explain why I made those decisions. Okay, so for the answer that I accepted, to say that Lenin did not approve of Stalin because he was a self-centered leader, he did not care about others, I accepted it because I can see that you got your evidence from the part about him not caring about other people. Okay, and for Stalin being incompetent, incapable leader, I accepted this negative portrayal as well. Okay, because then it means that Stalin will not lead the party well since he only cares about himself, right? Now, for the answers that I did not accept, It is when you say that there was a negative portrayed Stalin as an arrogant leader. Now, this is simply invalid because nothing in the source tells you that Stalin was very proud. Stalin was very arrogant. So this adjective itself is not a valid adjective used to describe Stalin in the source. Now, the next answer that was also not accepted was when you said that Stalin was an ambitious aggressor. This is not really this is not really a negative trait, because ambitious, I mean, when you say that someone is ambitious, you don't necessarily say that as an insult, right? And as for aggressor, I guess you can say aggressor. Saying that Stalin is aggressive can be a negative trait, but the word ambitious threw you off. Again, discredited your answer. Now, some of you also said that Stalin was rude. This is the paraphrase of the opposite of more polite. So remember that this is still an inference question. You cannot lift or paraphrase. That means you cannot take a word from the source and use a synonym and then expect to get away with it. No, you will not get the marks for it. Okay? Now, common mistake would be your error in contextual knowledge. I was very shocked to see that a lot of you made this mistake. So take 1 minute now to look at the list of statements. Which of the following statements is wrong? Stalin was already the general secretary. Trotsky wanted the position of general secretary. And the third statement, Lenin was reviewing Stalin and Trotsky as potential successors. Which of the following is wrong? Okay, now by now I hope you made the decision and you chose the second one as the wrong statement. Now, Trotsky definitely did not want the position of General Secretary. If anything, Trotsky already had a higher position. I mean, Trotsky was hand in hand with Lenin. They fought the Russian Civil War together, and Trotsky was the head of the Red Army. Don't forget that. That means he had military power in his hands. He did not need this position of General Secretary, which was seen as an administrative role in the party. Okay, even though obviously this position still meant something, it gave Stalin certain authority to reassign people in the party and give them new positions. But what the both of them were competing to get, okay, was Lenin's position. And what was Lenin's position? The leader of the USSR. Okay, so this is a very, very big mistake in your contextual knowledge. You have to be more careful when you're doing your graded assignments. For our second question, you have to study source B. Please flip and look at source B right now. Okay, do you trust what it says about Stalin? Explain your answer. Now, the question requirement is to, first of all, answer the question. Do you trust? Tell me, do you trust? You say, I trust. Or if you want to say that the source is unreliable, you say, I do not trust. You have to make the decision and state this clearly. Okay, there were some students who said that this source is reliable. Like, you jump straight to telling me whether the source is reliable or not. Do not do that, please. Always start with answering the question. Okay, and the next thing that you missed out was this: what it says about Stalin. So since it's asking you about source B and what it says about Stalin, that means you have to make an inference about Stalin. Without this inference about Stalin, you will be stuck at L1. Maximum marks that you will get will be 2 out of 6 marks. Okay, and lastly, you will use tools of reliability to help you assess the provenance. Okay, and don't forget, provenance refers to the date, the author, okay, where it was published, and so on, as well as the content of the source. So I created this little table here. Hopefully it'll help you see it clearer. So the parts of the provenance, for example, the date, okay, the significance, you have to start thinking in your head when you see a date. What happened around this date? What should I remember? what contextual knowledge will be relevant? Okay, this is what you should be brainstorming about when you look at the date of a source. The next thing you look out for would be the author. Okay, now it may not always be clear from the source, but you can get clues from where this source was published to get an idea. Okay, so the significance, you have to start questioning and thinking, who is the author, right? If the author is not clearly stated. So if the author is clearly stated, then you have to think further, who might the author be influenced by? What motives might the author have? So you have to question, you have to think through these questions. Okay? Now, level 2 is for you to pass the question, but this is actually a wrong answer. Okay, why is it that a wrong answer still allows you to pass the question? This is because of the LOMS, okay, marking scheme, the level of response marking scheme. Because even though your answer is wrong, it does show a level of thought where you are able to logically explain your stand, even if your stand is wrong. So I trust what source B says about Stalin having a good relationship with Lenin. Alternatively, you can also say Stalin being close to Lenin. That was also accepted. Because it is a painting created in 1923 by a Russian painter, making it a first-hand account that is credible and reliable. Take note that my starting sentence, okay, contains a link to provenance. You always have to link it to the provenance. Tell me, who is this source by? When was it created? And if you want to say that it's reliable, then say that it is credible. Okay, say that it is credible and reliable. Now then I continue on by talking about the evidence and the explanation. Okay, over here you see my evidence. Hold on, let me... Okay, this is my evidence. And this suggests that Lenin felt comfortable, This is how I explain it. So then this part over here is actually my explanation of the reliability. Why I think that it's reliable. So my argument can be that, oh, the painter painted this scene, so he must have seen this happening and therefore it's a first-hand account likely to be accurate. Okay, but like I said earlier on, this is a wrong answer. Let's move on to talking about correct answers. Now, for level 3, in order to get L3 4 out of 6 marks, you have to identify that you do not trust. Okay, you do not trust what source B says about Stalin having a good relationship because it is contradicted by source A, which says that they did not. So alternatively, you can also say, I do not trust what source B says about Stalin and Lenin being close because source A says that Stalin and Lenin were not close. Okay, so my evidence here again is the same as the previous slide. Okay, hold on now. Let me choose a pen. Evidence is the same as the previous slide and explanation as well. However, so you realize that you do it like a comparison answer. Okay, so do not trust. You will tell me about difference. Okay, in your CR, you will basically tell me about difference. Now, if you are answering based on trust, then you'll be telling me about similarity. How are the two sources similar in their message? Okay, but like I said, this source, for this source, between sources B and your cross-reference source, source A, they are different. Okay, and therefore you say however. Now, source A states that Lenin proposed to the comrades to find a way to remove Stalin. This shows that this shows that Lenin condemned Stalin's character, and so on. Now, then I give my evidence. Oh, sorry. Then I give my explanation. Given his negative impression of Stalin, Lenin most likely did not have a good relationship with Stalin. Link it back to your message. Your message is about their relationship. So even if Lenin thought badly of Stalin, so what? I can think badly of you, but then I can still laugh and joke around with you. Does that mean we have a good relationship? Okay, so make it very clear that since Lenin thought so badly of Stalin, it is unlikely that they would have had a good relationship. Okay, and then most importantly, you have to link back to reliability. Quite a number of you did not do this. Okay, since source A refutes source B, since source A challenges source B, whatever words you use, as long as you make this link, it diminishes the reliability of the latter. Okay, basically it diminishes the reliability of source B, and hence I do not trust source B. Now, we're moving on to our final level. Okay, L4 will give you 5 to 6 marks. This is because you would have demonstrated an ability to analyze the source for reliability. So 5 marks is if you do a counter argument, and 6 marks is if you can point out the one-sided aspect of this source. So again, the EV and EX, I stated at the start, make this a good habit. If not, you're gonna end up forgetting to do this, and if your answer does not contain evidence and explanation from the question source, then your whole answer is wasted. Okay, so this suggests that Lenin felt comfortable being around Stalin and was close to him. However, the painting is one-sided in showing only what Stalin wanted while ignoring the fact that Lenin did not have such a good relationship with him. Then I continue to give a little bit of contextual knowledge. Okay, the fact that I know by 1923, Lenin had already suffered a few strokes that actually severely affected his movement. So how is it possible that Lenin could stand there so leisurely, so comfortably without any support and drink coffee with Stalin and talk to him so leisurely? So it is unlikely that this scene took place. And secondly, most importantly, the commission artist means that he was hired by Stalin. So since Stalin paid him money, would he paint something that Stalin did not want to see? Okay, and therefore logically, he would have painted a scene that did not take place in order to create propaganda to please his client. In other words, there is always the possibility that Stalin actually told him to paint this. Okay, and since he was possibly listening to Stalin's orders, then he would have intentionally ignored the fact that the scene did not take place, showing a skewed perspective that makes the information inaccurate. And therefore, you link back to, I do not trust this painting as evidence about Stalin and Lenin being close. Okay, we've gone through 2 parts now, and that's a lot. So take this time, quickly jot down your corrections. You can pause this video and take a break. Okay, and come back. We'll continue to go through 1C as well as GA4. Okay, so let's continue with 1C. Study all sources. Stalin was the best person to take over Lenin's position. How far do the sources agree with this view? Now, the question requirement, first of all, is again to answer the question. No surprise there. Okay, so since the question is asking you how far do the sources agree, please tell me source A agrees, source B does not agree. Whatever it is, please use the word agree. So then the next thing you do is to not be lazy. Please write down the full statement. Even if you're rushing for time, write it down somewhere in your answer. This is because if I don't see the statement appearing at all throughout your paragraph, then I will not give you marks for that paragraph. Okay, so now Stalin was the best person to take over Lenin's position. There is also the additional step you need to take of explaining to me what do you mean by best person. I remember when I was reading your answers, Ria did a good job Okay, she actually took the effort to define best person in every single paragraph that she wrote down. So good job, Ria. Okay, now always give a reason for your stand. You have to state the reason in your first sentence. And lastly, make sure you provide evidence and explanation for your reason. That means you have to link back and tell me why is it that your evidence and explanation show that Stalin was the best person. Okay, so an example of a paragraph on agree would be source D. Okay, source D agrees with the view that Stalin was the best person to take over because it shows that Stalin was similar to Lenin. So given this similarity, since he's the best pupil of Lenin, since he had these positive qualities that Lenin had, boldness, flexibility, clear-sightedness. So this shows that he possessed similar qualities to Lenin, and since Lenin was the leader, it made him a suitable candidate to take over as Lenin's successor, to be the leader of the USSR as well. And therefore, source D agrees with the view. So when you end off, you don't have to repeat it again. You just have to say source D agrees with the view. But at the start, you realize that I gave my stand agrees. I wrote down the full statement, and I also had my reason. Okay, as I went through earlier on. So several steps to take here. Please be mindful. Your stand, okay, the statement, and then your reason. If you find that SSR will be easier for you to remember, please go ahead and do that. Okay, so for this, if you write one paragraph, no matter if it's agree or do not agree, as long as you explain it, you would have gotten 4 marks. If you explain 2 of the same stand, that means you tell me source A agrees, source D agrees. You write 2 paragraphs on that, 1 paragraph on each, then you would have gotten 5 marks. You progress on to 6 marks when you are able to tell me both agree and does not agree, when you're able to explain the different perspectives. So right now we're going to look at an opposite perspective. Source A does not agree. Oh, sorry. Source A does not, oh god, does not agree, okay, with the view that Stalin was the best person to take over Lenin's position because it shows that Stalin had a bad character. Again, you can see that I have my stand, I have my statement, and I also have my reason. Okay, so source A states that Lenin, the earlier evidence, we already covered this. So even the explanation is also the same. Okay, so that's how you conclude. Like I said earlier on, to reach level 3 to get 6 marks, you need to give both paragraphs on agree and does not agree. So just 2 paragraphs can get you 6 marks. So when you're rushing for time, make sure that you choose to do 1 paragraph on each perspective. Okay, now for level 4, that's when you actually go further and give me a paragraph on reliability. I don't really encourage you to take this step because if you have the time to write 1 more paragraph for this question, I would rather you go back and check your other questions to see if you did them well. Okay. Now we're moving on to GA4. GA4, there's only 1 question on reliability. Specifically, I wanted to test whether you can write an answer on how reliable a source is. Unfortunately, a lot of you made this mistake of not answering the question. Okay, you did not tell me that you believed or you did not believe. Instead, I don't know why you did this, but more than half the class went in straight and wrote, the source is reliable. The source is not reliable. No, why are you doing that? Because my question is asking you, do you believe? So you should always answer by saying, I believe, if you think that the source is reliable, or I do not believe if you think that the source is unreliable. Okay, now The question follows: as evidence of Sturm Abteilung's role in helping Hitler rise to power. So then you actually have to make an inference about their role and how important their role was. And lastly, the tools of reliability to help you assess the provenance. As I went through earlier, with a little bit of difference, the date, you still have to think about what happened around this date. But for the author, you think, who is the author? Why is it that the author is likely to not have been influenced or have motives? Okay. Now, showing you an answer uh, based on cross-reference. Okay, I believe what source A says about the SA being important to Hitler's rise to power because source B also says that they were important. Like I mentioned earlier on in a previous slide, you are basically doing an answer on similarity. Okay, if you find that the cross-reference source is saying the same thing, you are actually writing an answer that looks like a similarity answer. Okay, source A states that the stormtroopers also carried out terrible acts of violence to get rid of socialists and communists. This shows that the SA helped Hitler get rid of political opponents and rise to power. Okay, source B supports this since it says that it is above all thanks to you and your help that this political instrument became within a few years the force which allowed me to wage the final battle for power. So again through Hitler's appreciation for the SA's help, you can also see that he is appreciating their help in getting rid of his political opponents. That's what you can infer from what he says. Okay, and your final link back, again, you link back to reliability. Since source B supports source A, it enhances the reliability of source A, and therefore I believe source A about the SA being important to Hitler's rise to power. Okay. Now, this answer that I'm showing you on the screen right now is an answer based on source analysis. That means you analyze the provenance, and therefore you must always have details about the provenance in your answer. So it is a website about the Nazis in the early 1930s, making it likely to be credible and reliable. The minute I see this line, you get an automatic L1. If you do not even have this line, and if your cross-reference answer is wrong, then you will get 0. Okay, a lot of you got 0 for this assignment because of such careless mistakes. So please be sure not to make such mistakes in your weighted assessment. Okay, source A states that the stormtroopers also carried out terrible acts of violence against socialists, same evidence and explanation. What is different is this part. Since it's a website created in the modern age, the author should have had access to abundant information that he might have used to craft the information on the website. Okay, moreover, he mentions statistics that's easy to verify against archival records. Chances of the author being credible increase. A lot of you who argued about it being a website, therefore it's reliable, made this weird argument that since it's a website, therefore it's reliable, without actually explaining why is a website reliable. I mean, there are so many websites out there giving people fake news. How do you know this source is not also fake news? Okay, so this is actually how you argue if you want to say that a website is reliable. Please take note and jot this down, especially if you did not even attempt an answer on reliability. Okay, so hence, since source A contains information likely to be accurate, you make the final link back and you're done. Okay, so with that said, you have your weighted assessment 2 that's due on Monday 2359. Please use this video to help you in your assignment. For any questions that you may have, we have the WhatsApp group chat, so please do not just dismiss your own questions. Please ask me any questions that you may have for your weighted assessment. And if you are if you have a lot of work to do on Monday, remember this is your weighted assessment. It will count towards your final results. Homework that is not WA can wait. Okay, so please prioritize this weighted assessment. With that said, I hope to see everyone park your answers in. Remember to indicate your name, class, as well as your index number. Okay, thank you.